There it is.
Testing.
Good morning. Welcome to the Joint Government Operations Rural Review, our final agenda for this year. Today is December 11th, 2024. The time is 1:03. Clerk, please take the roll.
Senator Bowling? Present. Senator Bowling is present. Senator Crowe? Here. Senator Crowe is present. Senator Jackson? Here. Senator Jackson's present. Senator Kyle? Senator Lowe? Senator Oliver? Senator Rose? Here. Senator Rose is present. Senator Taylor? Present. Senator Taylor is present. Chairman Roberts? Mr. Chairman, you have 5 members in the Senate. Representatives Bolso? Here. Bolso is present. Carr? Excuse me. Chisholm? Clemens? Crawford? Present. Crawford is present. Eldridge? Here. Eldridge is present. Faison? Yes, sir. Faison's present. Hakeem? Helton? Here. Helton Haynes is present. Himmer? Himmer is present. Johnson? Jones? Kiesling? Yes. Kiesling is present. Kumar? Yeah. Kumar is present. Lafferty? Here. Lafferty is present. Littleton? Present. Littleton is present. Martin? Present. Martin is present. McCalman? Here. McCalman is present. Reedy? Here. Reedy is present. And Representative Rudder. Rudder is present. You have a quorum in both chambers.
Thank you, sir. Any personal orders? And maybe this will be the last time that this joint committee will meet in such a small room. So happy to say that. For public comment, we've got a sign-up sheet to our left, your right, if you're in the audience. So with that, let's get started right into our calendar. Committee members, item number 1, what the rule was withdrawn by the Board of Education pursuant to Tennessee Code annotated. So that brings us right into item number 2. And if they will come forward, introduce yourselves to the committee and for the record, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. And also wanted to say some words of appreciation over that rule that we withdrew.
Yes, sir.
It was an example, I think, of the system working the way it should be. You know, we passed these things through our attorneys and the department's attorneys and the attorney general folks twice. And you walk away sometimes appreciating the homework that everybody does. And with that, I would say thank you, and I'll ask my colleagues to introduce themselves.
Good afternoon, Rachel Supay, General Counsel, State Board of Education.
Jack Powers with the Department of Education.
Robin Ye with the Department of Education.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So we're on page 21 of the rule packet. We're on the Academic Programs Requirements Rule. TCA 49-1302 authorizes the State Board of Education to set rules and policies for the completion of elementary, middle, and high school to govern courses of study in public schools and for evaluating individual student progress and achievement. The Academic Program Requirements Rule set forth the requirements for academic programming, including instructional requirements and grading systems for high school students to ensure they are prepared for success in their post-secondary career and out in the world. And of course, exams. Assess student knowledge in several high school course areas. Pursuant to 49-1617B, the current rule stipulates that these EOC, that's the end of course scores for grades 9 through 12, must account for between 15 and 25% of a student's final grade in the subject areas of math, English, language arts, science, and social studies, with local boards of education determining that exact percentage. Following feedback from multiple advocacy groups and districts and educators and students across the state, these rule changes reduce this percentage to between 5 and 15%, beginning with courses taken in the fall of 2024. This reduction maintains compliance with law, which requires that EOCs comprise a percentage of the student's final grade. It continues to allow the local boards the flexibility to determine what is appropriate for their individual context, while recognizing that students complete a significant amount of coursework that comprises the grade they receive for the course, in addition to that summative EOC assessment. Additionally, the proposed rule changes move several requirements regarding credit recovery from policy to rule. every time we go through one of these rule changes, we keep in mind how the statutes have changed and what's happened in the intervening period of time and take advantage of the opportunity to move those things over. We did hold a rulemaking hearing on 25 July 2024. We had that both electronically and in person. We did not have any comments at the hearing. However, we did get some written comments. I'll be happy to go through those. One of the comments said the percentages as they already stand are too low and do not ensure students have a stake in the game. The percentage should not be lower than 10%. This particular district had it at 15%. And in response, the board considered this comment from that LEA, which has a current practice of 15%, and the proposed rule change allows the commenting district to maintain their current practice. We also had several comments from the advocacy community, which were generally supportive of the changes proposed and made there, and they were considered as well. So with that, we're happy to, and I say generally, we didn't get any that were opposed in that. So I'm not using the word generally to try to hide anything. It's just there's 4 or 5 of them here, which I'd be happy to read if you'd like, but we're also happy to take questions.
Thank you, Mr. James. Any questions, comments for the board at this time? See, Representative Bolso?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon, Mr. James. I've got 2 questions.
Yes, sir.
First one has to do with the statute you mentioned, 49-1-617B. In looking at that particular statute, I do not see the statutory requirement that the end of course exam constitute between 15% and 25% of a student's final grade. So could you help me understand what the statutory basis is for this?
So I'm going to defer to our general counsel on it, and then also I'll be happy to, if it helps at all, to give some legislative perspective. At the time that this passed, I was the research analyst for the Senate Ed Committee, and I've kind of gone back in my brain, obviously having slept a bit since 2010 when it was first put in, but I can provide that after our intrepid counsel provides you a good answer.
Thank you.
Hi there. Thank you for the question. Rachel Supay, General Counsel. That is a great question. And if you take a look at 49-1-617, which you did, Section A talks about grades 3 through 8, and it lays out the specific range of percentages that are required in those grades. If you look elsewhere in the statute, it talks about grades 9 through 12, but as you can see, it doesn't lay out in statute what the percentage of range should be for grades 9 through 12. So because that is where the General Assembly has chosen to be silent, and the board has authority pursuant to 49-1-302 to promulgate rules regarding things like grading and when a student should be advancing from grade to grade. That's where the board has then come in with a rule and filled in what the range should be for 9 through 12 as the General Assembly was silent.
Representative Bolso?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we're both in agreement that when you look at subsection 617B, there is no specific requirement in that statute that the end of course exam constitute 15% to 25% of a student's score for the course, correct?
I apologize if that sentence could have been, written in a clearer manner, but you're right that that specific section doesn't reference any percentage or range of percentages.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, which Mr. James leads me to my second question. 5% strikes me as a bit low. Why is it that we want to lessen the final impact of an end of course exam from the current 15% to just 5%?
So one of the many things that the board members do is we have days in the district or around the state. We meet with superintendents, we meet with school board members and advocacy groups and so on. And consistently for several years from those folks, the board members heard that they thought that the range was high. So I fully understand, where you're coming from with that. And I remember even from the time when the legislation first passed, there was discussion that an amount, that students should have a degree of skin in the game. The part of the conversation has also been about, has that, has the results of those tests been back in time to where they could be calculated? It's not always the case. Usually it is, but it's not always the case. And so when it's not the case, just like you get phone calls, our board members get phone calls as well. And I would say that that was on the minds of several of the board members when that came around.
Any further questions? Thank you, sir. Any further questions for the board? Seeing none, are we ready to entertain?
Public.
Oh, yes, public comment. Seeing none, the chair is ready to entertain a motion. We have a motion of positive recommendation and a second. All in favor in the House, voice vote. All in favor of a positive recommendation signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Nay. Passes out. Clerk, please take the vote in the Senate.
Senators Bowling. Senator Bowling votes aye. Senator Crow. Senator Crow votes aye. Senator Jackson. Senator Jackson votes aye. Senator Kyle. Senator Lowe. Senator Oliver. Senator Rose. Senator Rose votes aye. Senator Taylor.
My vote's 15%.
Senator Taylor votes aye. Chairman Roberts. Mr. Chairman, you have 5 ayes.
Moves out with a positive recommendation.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you for
Chairman.
being with
members.
us. Next on our calendar, Board of Podiatric Medical Examiners. If you all will please come forward. Introduce yourselves to the committee and for the record, please.
Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Olivia Johnson. I'm a legislative liaison for the Tennessee Department of Health. I'm joined by Ashley Fine, Office of General Counsel. This rule packet amends Rule 1155-04-1.2 by increasing the number of continuing education hours allowed annually for orthotists, prosthetists, and periodontists from 5 hours to 7 hours that can be obtained virtually. Licensees will still be required to obtain a total of 15 hours of continuing education annually, but after this rule amendment becomes effective, only 8 hours will be required to be obtained in person. This rule amendment was approved unanimously by the Board of Podiatric Medicine in the summer of this year. This rule had been on the August 2024 Government Operations Committee agenda, but had to be refiled due to a technical filing error. At this time, we're happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions, comments? Seeing none. Any public comments? Ready to take a motion? We have a motion and a second. House vote, voice vote. All in favor of moving this out with a positive recommendation signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Nay. Moves out. Clerk, please take the vote in the Senate.
Senators Bowling.
Aye.
Senator Bowling votes aye. Senator Crow. Senator Crow votes aye. Senator Jackson. Senator Jackson votes aye. Senator Kyle. Senator Lowe. Senator Oliver. Senator Rose. Senator Rose votes aye. Senator Taylor. Senator Taylor votes aye. Chairman Roberts. Mr. Chairman, you have 5 ayes.
Roll moves out with a positive recommendation. Thank you for being with us today. Next and last on our calendar, Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse.
Good afternoon, Chairman and members. My name is Angela Jackson. I'm the Assistant Legislative Director for the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services. Here with me, I have Matthew Perriott, who is our Communications Director at the department. The rules before you today are the department's proposed rules to update the phone numbers listed in Public Records Request Rules 0940-01-10, .04 and .05. The department is requesting to change these phone numbers through the proposed rule process since this is a clerical update and not substantive in nature. Additionally, using the proposed rule process will ensure the phone numbers are updated as quickly as possible. Specifically, the department proposes to replace the phone numbers in current rule with the department's current phone number in order to ensure the public can reach the appropriate contact within the department when making public records request. These rules will go into effect January 14th. With that, happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Angela. Any questions, comments for the department? Seeing none. Any public comment? Seeing none. I would entertain a motion at this time. We've got a motion and a second for a positive recommendation. This time we'll start with the vote in the Senate first.
Senators Bowling,
Aye.
Senator Bowling votes aye. Senator Crow, Senator Crow votes aye. Senator Jackson, Senator Jackson votes aye. Senator Kyle, Senator Lowe, Senator Oliver, Senator Rose, Senator Rose votes aye. Senator Taylor, Senator Taylor votes aye. Chairman Roberts, Mr. Chairman, you have 5 ayes.
Thank you, sir. Voice vote in the House. All in favor of a positive recommendation signify by saying aye. Opposition, nay. Moves out
Thank you, Chairman and Committee.
with a positive recommendation. That concludes our calendar. Of course, this will be rolled into the session for our omnibus bill to make it complete and final. At this time, I will take any personal orders. Seeing none. Oh, Chairman Faison.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Fine job today welding that gavel. And I also want to tell each one of y'all, Merry Christmas. Love you. Can't wait to see you January 14th at high noon.
There you go. And if there's no further business, Merry Christmas, safe holidays, and we'll see each other real soon. We stand adjourned.